Welcome to the return of Deck Talk. Yes, Deck Talk, the show I used to do back in the day where I had random professional Hearthstone players and celebrities come on and talk about a really cool deck and showcase it and play it a bit and so on and so on and so on. Unfortunately, I had to let that show go because I had a lot of time management issues, being honest, and trying to coordinate all these, Hearthstone pros, to get together and do this, that, and the other was kind of problematic, to say the least. And many times I had to take a week off here because I couldn't get a guest and so on and so on. And that became really problematic and kind of fucked with my timetables. And I hate when that happens. I'm not an organized person, but when I try to be, having something that disorganizes it just totally fucks me up. Regardless, we found a way of coming back and changing the format slightly. So last time we did that, this time instead we're going to find cool decks on Hearthstone or from tournaments or etc. And we're going to showcase that, show, hey, these decks are really cool. Here's why they're cool. These are probably some of the decks you should be playing and so on and so on. I kind of wanted to wait till we were getting into the Frozen Throne or Knights of the Frozen Throne territory, but I got several hours to kill, and I have dead time. So here we go. Today we're going to be talking about Token Shaman, more specifically the Ignite Token Shaman. Now this one was featured at DreamHack Atlanta and actually did pretty damn good. If I remember correctly, this got up to at least top 8 on DreamHack Atlanta. And the deck was actually pretty nasty in the earlier portions of the Swiss because it was last hero standing. There were several people who went straight through just playing this type of deck. So, while many of you might be saying, fuck you, Shiv, I'm sick and tired of Shaman. No, don't tell people how to play this garbage. I don't want to see it anymore. Tough fucking cookies. We're going to do it. Alright, so this variant is attributed to Ignite. I'm not saying that he is the one who created this deck. It's just what it says on Hearthstone. There will be a link down below so you can go and verify that for yourself. But, if this is the Ignite who I think it is, then most likely this is his variant because it fits a lot of what I've seen him play in the past. He used to be a member of Luminosity Gaming, so I kind of know some of his playstyles from his history. So let's get to it. It looks like a regular Token Shaman deck. Not even kidding. Alright, so let's get through this. You got your Bloodsail Corsair. Hey, it builds, board, and thins your deck by summoning patches. This is probably one of the coolest cards out there for enabling patches because Bloodsail Corsair can do some really cool stuff in terms of fucking with Warrior, fucking with Paladin, and fucking with Hunter for all intents and purposes. Yeah, okay, sure, Rogue too, but how many Rogues have you seen competitively lately? Maybe like 1 in 12 at best. So, yeah, for those other classes I mentioned there, way more common for you to see. Not to mention Atiesh. Yes, Atiesh. It'll take a charge off that. Yeah, but it has 3 charges. I know this. I didn't say it was a great answer, but considering the functionality it has, it's a pretty good answer. All right, next up you got Evolve. Evolve equates out to one of several endgame scenarios that you can play for. Most notably with, say, Doppelgangsters and anything else that's on the board, thus giving you a huge amount of value, and thus overwhelming your opponent on the back end. That is one of your endgame scenarios. It probably equates out to, yeah, I would say about 50% of it, yeah. Next up you've got is Firefly. Board builder and hand refiller. I'm not kidding, it's a 1-2 that keeps giving you hand advantage because you play it out, boom, you get another 1-2 in your hand. What I like about this is it's dirt cheap. You can play it out. It trades with almost every single 1-drop out there for the most part. Relatively good. And because we're Shaman, we can get some other cards to go along with it on the next following turn and thus turn this into a pretty strong powerhouse. Even on turn 1 with Coin, you can play both of these out and set up for a really nice Flame Tongue Totem turn and take advantage of ensuring that you have board dominancy. That's one way of playing that. Not the most ideal, but it's one way. Patches, we know why he's here. Everybody hates Patches, but, hey, cool. Though, here's an interesting thing. You look here and you see he has 2 eyes, and he's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different patches. How many eyes does this thing have? How many are underneath the hat? I want to know. These are things that drive me nuts while I try to go to sleep. All right, next up we have Devolve. Okay, so Shaman have a long history of fucking with people in terms of hexes, right? It's dirt cheap, it's been the go-to staple for them for a long time. But you know what Hex didn't do? It didn't target multiple things. Well, this one does. The downside is it can actually make things worse, and I've had this happen to me quite a few times. I go and hex a 6-drop only to get a Earth Elemental on the board, which was way more impactful than the 6-drop that was on the board. And all I kept doing was sitting there thinking, why? Why, God? Why? Why must you do this to me? I hate you. So yes, there are many times where Devolve can backfire on you. There are also many times when this thing is a godsend. Like if you're going for lethal, but they got that really pesky taunt in the way, like Tyrion, fuck you, I'm going through. So yes, Devolve is a pretty damn good spell for making sure you can get to your lethal. But I'm going to warn people right now, be careful when playing it. This is one of those skill test decisions, all right? RNG will punish those who play this full-heartedly. Oh my God, will it punish you for playing full-heartedly. Next up, we got Flame Tongue Totem. Great tempo tool, used quite extensively, can be used in the mid-game very well. Early game, to some degree, pretty decently. Late game for finishing scenarios where you get all that value. Just all around, great card. Here we've got the Jade Claws. Board Builder plus Tempo Tool. Board Clear plus Board Builder. Board Builder plus another minion on the board. Mana Tide Totem. Here you got your hand refilling tool. I mean, token decks, you can play them out pretty damn fast. You're going to need something to refill and cycle in and get to those Bloodlusts as soon as possible. Stonehill Defender. This gives you some really interesting hand advantage because of how it works. Being able to get a taunt minion as a shaman pretty much means you have a good likelihood of pulling a thing from below. Not all the time, guys. All right, let's keep that real. Not all the time will you get a thing from below, but when you do, it's pretty damn nice. As you can tell, we're running 6 total totems in the deck, and we have the ability of creating more totems as we're playing from our hero power. So the likelihood of being able to get 3 total 0-cost 5/5 taunts is pretty likely. Pretty damn likely. Alright, next up we have the Jade Lightning, Board Builder and Tempo Tool. And in many circumstances I have found when dealing with, say, a Freeze Mage type deck, lethal to their face. Alright, I had several games where my opponent was able to freeze the board while trying to draw to find that other ice block, where this Jade Lightning won me the game right then and there. So, yes, great tool. Bloodlust, your primary win condition. It does make up 50%, but for the most part, I say this is a primary win condition, because if you get this down early on when you have an established board, you can pretty much reduce any chance your opponent has of coming back, unless they are a Jade Druid, and then, you know, fuck, you're screwed. But you can still beat them, all right? Don't think you can't. But for the most part, this is a I win more kind of card. And it does the job very, very well. Many people think this card is slightly broken. Me, personally, I just love it. I do. I think its costing is pretty accurate, considering, you know, Savage Roar gives +2/+2, as well as +2 to the hero itself. For 3 mana, this is 5 and gives 3 across the board. And I think that cost differential there, it makes a little bit more sense. All right, Doppelgangster. This is part of your second win condition involving evolves. This card's actually pretty damn good. And evolving it once turns them into everything into 6/6s, which, you know, let's be honest. You get 3 6-drop minions. You're talking about cairns. You're talking about a lot of high-value targets there. The downside is you're also talking about some really bad ones, too. All right? And if you decide to evolve again, that's when things get a little bit wonky, because then you're starting to hit in the 7-drop range. And there's some pretty decent 7-drops, but there's some pretty horrible 7-drops out there as well. So that value gets reduced quite a bit. I have Blackpaw. It's a board builder, and it's a board builder. And because they're Jade Golems, it's even more value. And this card has become a staple in so many decks in recent metas. It just makes perfect sense that it's here. Personally, I love the card. All right, Thing from Below. Seriously, a taunt that you can play out cheaper just by doing what you do normally? Yes, please. I'll take that. And last but not least, the Sea Giant. Yes, the only minion in the deck that does not evolve. I find that so hilariously funny. And I'll be honest with you, playing with this card has won me several games, specifically against Druid and against Rogue. Like, the moment this comes out on turn 5 or say 6, and they don't have an answer for it, or they just used an answer to deal with, say, your thing from below, this coming out the next turn generally makes them cry. It's like, great, I can't do shit about that. I'm dead. All right, 8 to the face is a horrible thing. 11 to the face because of Bloodlust is even worse. So yeah. Now, we talked about the deck. We talked about some cool synergies, this, that, and the other. But you know what? You guys didn't come here to hear me talk about shit that much. You know, here's why I think it's cool, yada, yada. You want to see it in action. Let's go. All right. So here we go. We're in the mirror match. Yes, the most funnest thing in the world, mirror matches. Though, for some people, these are probably the greatest skill tests that you could have, is a mirror match. So, right away, I don't want any of this except for the Primal Fin. It fits with my mulligan guide that I have in my head, which is pretty much anything that's a 1-drop or the Primal Fin totem. In some degrees, I keep Maelstrom Portals and Jade Claws, depending on what the class I'm facing off against. Flame Tongue Totem is also there if I have a 1-drop, but that's pretty much it. And we go for the throwback 3, and we got back 3. Maelstrom Portal is an interesting pickup, and that's not a horrible one, but everything else is pretty fucking garbage. Not even gonna lie. Now, we have Coin, and I'm going to tell you right now, because I see the Flame Tongue Totem, I'm instantly going to rip the Primal Fin Totem out. The reason why is that'll give me a 3-1 attacker and a 2-3 attacker, if need be, and something that's going to spawn more Murlocs. So, yeah, you know, that makes a lot of sense. So he goes for the hero power, gets the air totem. Yeah, no, we're not dealing with that. Go ahead and we drop that. Bo-bam. We're doing good. We're building our board. And yes, this is proper placement for that, for the totems. So now he's going to think about this really long. I mean, there's really only like 2 answers he can have here. None of them are overly that good. Lightning Storm has the potential of just kind of fizzling out and screwing you over. Maelstrom Portal is just going to kill off the 1/1s and still create the problem. But instead he goes for the Stonehill Defender. This tells me what kind of deck he's going to be playing. This is definitely a Spirit Echo Evolved deck. Alright, so seeing that we have an advantage here that we can press, we decide to go for it. Boom. Gets the value. We're going to trade there. Trade there. And boom. There we go. Still building the board. Now, I'm feeling pretty comfortable here. I'm like a turn off and a top deck of a Bloodlust of possibly winning. But never count everything until it's actually there. Like I said before, a Maelstrom Portal can wipe out most of what we've got here. Lightning Storm can wipe out even more. And reduce the Bloodlust value quite easily. And for those of you who haven't figured out how to calculate Bloodlust values, it's really simple. Count however many minions you have on the board, times that by 3. Then add the total amount of attack they have to that. That's how you count out Bloodlust. Alright, so here we go. Boom. We get a thing from below, and we rip that out right away. It's a big threat. He's going to have to answer it. If he's answering that, he's not playing a minion, and that plays to our advantage quite nicely. And the only answer he has for this is a Hex. Okay, that kind of sucks, but guess what? I still have a 2-1 taunt that I'm going to take to your face. And look at that, top decked Bloodlust on 5. It would have almost been perfect, but it didn't happen. So instead, we're just going to hero power here, build our board, gives us a little bit of a safety net, and we're going to push 5 more to the face. Now, again, remember what I said, how to calculate that. We have 5 total attack from all the minions, plus 12 for being 3 times 4, which would have been 17, which would have been lethal. But lo and behold, this motherfucker had to play that. So our only option here is to go for a decent evolve, and we're hoping for something that's going to be able to take care of that, and we get it with the Stubborn Gastropod. That card has like wormed its way into my heart. I don't ever put it in my decks, but when I see it, I feel really good about life. Now, realizing that this is going to be a problem, he's got to figure out an option. A Lightning Storm would have solved this quite easily. An empowered Maelstrom Portal would handle it quite easily. But instead, he's just going to go for the Ancestral Spirit and basically put everything on me. This is not a bad play. Now, we're going to do something that's going to be a little bit of a misplay here, but bear with us. Alright. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to trade off the Gastropod into the 7-8. Boom, kills it. He's going to come back. We're going to trade this off. This now gives us 5 minions total on the board. We're going to play down the Bloodsail Corsair. Boom, to give us patches. Now, I could easily trade any of my 7 attacks here, but I don't want to because I like making a big splash. And that's it. Now, the better play would have been trading in a 7 attack minion and then putting everything else to face, but it really did not matter. And that is the deck, ladies and gentlemen. It's very, very simple. It's very straightforward. Long as you're getting your 1-drop or 2-drop out on turn 1, depending on if you have coin or not, you're almost always going to be in a really good position. Now, obviously, certain decks such as Paladin or anything with, say, like Swipe or any sort of AoE damage is somewhat of an issue. Be careful of Priest as well because, you know, Dragonfire Potion and shenanigans involving Wild Pyromancer or Holy Novas. Alright, there are many ways that can really screw this deck over. So you have to play it very, very smart. Never go all in against any class you know can easily just blow out your entire board in one quick turn. However, if you can pull out all those options, then going all in makes a lot of sense. However, you're going to have to know what you're playing against, and that is something that takes a little bit of time and a little bit of research. All right, so keep that in mind. Anyway, guys, that is all for the show. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. What do you think of the deck? What do you want to see next brought on Deck Talk? If you have any suggestions, let me know. Till next time, it's Shiv saying stay safe, have fun, and don't forget to upvote, like, and all that other fun stuff. I'm out. Peace.